the situation in Pokrovsk, the shelling of a hospital in Kherson, and why there actually won't be a shortage of medicines. I'll tell you about this and more next. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Irina Kondrachuk. You're watching TSN Online. Leave a like on this video and be sure to comment what impressed you the most. Let's get started. The Russians have concentrated about 11,000 soldiers to encircle the Pokrovsk agglomeration. Some of the occupiers are trying to advance to the north and northwest of the city, but Ukrainian defenders are holding their positions. This was reported by the 7th Air Assault Brigade. In 2 days, the armed forces eliminated 90 occupiers, wounded another 42, and also destroyed armored vehicles, cars, and more than 150 drones. The situation there is very difficult. According to Deep State, the Russians are now advancing toward the village of Ryshin. This poses a threat to the connection between Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad, as well as to the ability of our troops to hold the entire agglomeration in this direction. In the morning, Defense Forces drones recorded a Russian flag on the Pokrovsk stele. The video with the tricolor was published on her Telegram channel by TSN correspondent Yulia Kiriyenko. Our soldiers sent her the footage. And within an hour, our Defense Forces drones shot down the Russian rag. However, hundreds of occupiers are still being recorded in the urban areas of Pokrovsk. The General Staff reports that our forces have successfully repelled Russian attacks in the Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad areas. At the site of the explosion in Khmelnytsky, rescuers are still clearing the rubble. The preliminary version remains a household gas explosion, although other versions are not ruled out. The police have already determined in which apartment the explosion occurred. In the morning, 2 bodies were pulled from the rubble and 5 more people were injured. Our Anna Makno will share the latest updates from the scene of the tragedy.
Rescuers are carefully dismantling the structure of the apartment building. Rope access specialists have been brought in, and special SES equipment is in use. A search and rescue operation is underway here. Rescuers are inspecting the ruins and clearing the debris, meter by meter. A 52-year-old woman may be under the rubble, according to the SES. There is no contact with her. She went missing after the explosion. The explosion occurred in this building in Khmelnytsky at around 3 p.m. the day before. The blast was so powerful that locals say it was heard in different parts of the city. At first, people thought it was a missile strike.
We heard an explosion. We were very frightened. I immediately grabbed the air raid alert map. I checked, but there were no alerts. Well, we got scared and ran out into the hallway. Miss Tetiana lives nearby. Later, she found out that several floors had collapsed in the neighboring building. I have an acquaintance who lives here in the second entrance. Thank God they weren't hurt.
But at the site of the explosion, the police later reported that 5 people were injured, including a 12-year-old child. Police spokesperson Ina Hlega said by phone,
"One man sustained injuries that included cuts caused by broken glass shards, and 4 other people sought assistance due to experiencing acute stress reactions, which are common emotional responses after distressing events." According to the information, the preliminary cause of the explosion could have been a household gas explosion.
What else could have caused such destruction? Other versions are also being considered, but they have not been made public yet. The explosion destroyed 9 apartments and damaged another 15, according to the military administration.
The City Council is currently working to carefully register everyone who may possibly need any assistance with temporary relocation for the entire duration of the necessary work, until the aftermath is fully dealt with.
At the scene, all emergency services have set up a resilience point, with Red Cross representatives nearby.
First and foremost, psychological first aid was provided to residents of this area and directly to the residents of the affected apartments. Right now, we are supporting the rescuers, preparing hot drinks and hot meals.
At the same time, city residents also gathered.
To offer support, maybe to hope that she is still alive.
Which floor does she live on? This is an acquaintance of the missing woman. He says her name is Mrs. Larissa. And this is Mr. Volodymyr, a state emergency service dog handler, with his 4-legged partner, Nebraska.
She is trained to search for people under rubble, survivors.
They have already tried to find the missing woman. So far, it's been in vain. But they are not giving up. They are waiting for when their help will be needed again.
Perhaps after the upper layers where the collapse happened are removed, there is always a chance that the person is still alive.
Well, of course, I hope that the woman will survive, will make it. You know, it's just such a pity for people. It's really a pity. We're all in a state of shock.
But unfortunately, the miracle that both the locals and the rescuers were hoping for did not happen. At 2:30 in the night, they found the body of a woman under the rubble, and after 5 in the morning, also the body of a 42-year-old man. Anna Machno, Alexander Kovtunets, Khmelnytsky region, TSN 1+1.
In the morning, the Russians shelled a hospital in Kherson. 9 people were injured, among them 3 staff members and 4 young patients. The children suffered cuts as well as blast and shrapnel injuries. The medical staff sustained injuries of varying severity. The building suffered significant damage, with offices and wards destroyed and equipment smashed. The functional diagnostics department suffered the most damage. After the shelling, not a single window in the building remained intact.
This morning, the facility was shelled. As a result of the shelling, the Automated Management System Department and the Ultrasound Diagnostics Department were damaged. There are 4 injured, 1 child and 3 staff members. One of them is in serious condition.
Ukrainian drones in Crimea attacked the occupiers' air defense system, which is key to the Russians' air defense on the peninsula. They also destroyed a couple of radars and 2 oil depots. TSN was informed about this by its own sources in the security service. The damaged Panzer S-2 surface-to-air missile system cost the Russians $20 million, and every radar station taken out of action weakens Russia's defenses in the Crimean direction. In addition, SBU drones attacked an oil depot in the village of Gvardievka near Simferopol. A large-scale fire broke out there. Another UAV strike was recorded at the Komsomolska oil depot. Ukrainian drones also attacked a number of Russian regions today, even reaching Moscow. The Stavrolen plant in Budyunovsk was also hit. They produce polyethylene, polypropylene, benzene, vinyl acetate, and other types of petrochemical products there. Russian social media channels are publishing footage of the drone attack moment in the Ulyanovsk region. There, the Enis oil refinery in the village of Novospaskoye was attacked. The local governor also confirmed the attack in this area, but did not mention the refinery. The enterprise is engaged in processing and preparing oil for refining. The plant's total production capacity is 30,000 tons of oil per year. Another refinery was attacked in the settlement of Tabashin in the Republic of Mari El, which is almost 1,500 kilometers from Ukraine. Are you surprised by the accuracy of the Ukrainian special services? Be sure to share your impressions in the comments to this broadcast on YouTube. And of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, I will continue with the TSN broadcast. Germany plans to equip its brigade in Lithuania with thousands of kamikaze drones. This was reported by the British publication Financial Times. Sources told the publication that German startups and the country's largest contractor, Rheinmetall, will receive a share of the contract worth about 300 million euros. According to the agreement, 3 companies are obligated to deliver up to 12,000 strike drones. They are expected to be delivered to the new German brigade stationed in Lithuania, with the aim of protecting NATO's eastern flank from Russia. Against the backdrop of Russian provocations, European countries are seeking to strengthen their capabilities in drone warfare and to implement technologies both for defending against enemy drones and for using drones to attack enemy targets. With the highest order and a replica of the Golden Crown, that's how Donald Trump was welcomed in South Korea. Today, the American president arrived in the city of Gyeongju as part of his Asian tour. The office of Korean President Lee Jae-myung awarded Trump the country's highest honor, the Grand Order of Mugunghwa, the national flower of Korea, the Rose of Sharon. It was presented to him as a recognition of Trump as a peacemaker on the Korean peninsula. Trump is the first U.S. president to receive this award. The politician was also presented with a replica of the Golden Crown from the era of the ancient Korean kingdom of Silla. Trump responded positively to the gifts and said he would put on the order right now. Official Seoul is trying to secure concessions from America to lower tariffs on the country. Therefore, trade negotiations are key at today's meetings. Trump's Asian tour has been underway since Sunday. He has already managed to visit Malaysia and Japan. And as soon as tomorrow, Trump is scheduled to meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in the port city of Busan, South Korea. It is expected that the leaders of the 2 largest economies will sign a trade agreement aimed at easing the months-long tension between the countries. They are also set to discuss the war in Ukraine. In particular, Trump may ask his Chinese counterpart to put pressure on Putin to agree to a ceasefire. In the Netherlands today, early parliamentary elections are underway for the 3rd time in the past 4 years. On the agenda are issues of acute housing shortages, accessible health care, and migrants. It was precisely due to insufficient measures to counter migrants that the leader of the far-right Freedom Party, Geert Wilders, decided to leave the four-party coalition, which had lasted almost a year. And this triggered the early elections. Wilders holds rather radical views on migration, demanding a complete halt to the acceptance of refugees, no new applications whatsoever, and the absolute closure of borders, even involving the army. Notably, it is this politician's party that is predicted to win the majority in this vote, but Wilders' chances of becoming prime minister are slim. He is closely followed by other major parties, such as the Left Alliance of the Greens and Social Democrats, led by former European Union Climate Commissioner Frans Timmermans, and the Liberal Party D66. There are a total of 150 seats in the lower house of the Dutch parliament. A simple majority requires at least 76 seats. Notably, there is no electoral threshold in this country, so even small parties that receive less than 3% of the vote make it into parliament. Voting will continue until 9 in the evening. There is no shortage of medicines. This is what the Ministry of Health assures, urging people not to create panic in pharmacies. The anxiety was caused by a Russian attack on October 25th. At that time, they bombed a medical supply warehouse in Kiev. Medicines worth $100 million were destroyed. This facility belongs to one of the largest distributors in the pharmaceutical sector. Many critically important drugs were stored inside. Everything burned to the ground. However, Deputy Minister of Health Edem Adamanov assured that there will be no disruptions in the supply of these medicines. He says that a task force has already been created to coordinate pharmacies, manufacturers, and suppliers. So if there is a shortage of certain medications, the Ministry of Health is counting on the support of other pharmaceutical companies.
Alexander Komarov, this is indeed one of the largest distributors, but this is not their only warehouse. They had a backup buffer warehouse, which they have already activated, and the first unloading in the city of Kyiv was carried out yesterday. This is an incredible team. Other distributors are also involved, both large and medium-sized ones. Instead of competing, they offered their support, and in a truly collaborative manner, adjusted their routes from other regions as much as possible to avoid any shortages in the central regions of our country.
Elza Zhurakovska, the Deputy Minister of Health, also assured that all hospitals are prepared for possible power outages. 600 medical facilities across Ukraine are equipped with alternative energy sources. There are boiler houses running on gas and pellets, as well as generators. Some have solar power stations and even drilled wells and fuel reserves. The ministry, Domonov assures, keeps the availability of everything necessary in hospitals under constant control, regularly organizing inspections by medical commissions. Elza Zhurakovska, Run Your Brain, a nationwide flash mob for World Stroke Day, kicks off in Ukraine today. The Stroke Medicine Society is calling on doctors and recovered patients to run in order to draw attention to the disease, which has become a global problem for Ukraine and the world. Nearly 130,000 strokes are diagnosed in our country every year. TSN correspondent Irina Markovich has been studying this topic for several years.
Irina Markovich, we are on the grounds of Feofania Hospital. Today, both doctors and patients who have recovered are running here. The main goal of this event is to draw attention to the problem of strokes. Doctors are encouraging people to run or walk at their own pace for 1, 2, or 5 kilometers, because physical activity is the main way to prevent strokes.
Ole Malanchuk. Physical activity, quitting smoking, giving up alcohol, and losing weight. These are the main steps we can take ourselves to prevent the development of stroke, heart attack, and other cardiovascular diseases. We can prevent 90% of strokes.
Irina Markovich. Before the full-scale invasion, Ukraine registered 120 to 130,000 strokes per year. Despite the fact that millions of people have left, this number has not changed. Last year, 128,000 Ukrainians fell ill, and this year already 90,000 Ukrainians. This year, the state has adjusted patient routes. Emergency medical services must take a person suspected of having a stroke only to a facility that provides medical care according to international protocols. This means 24/7 CT scans, laboratory tests, round-the-clock neurologist shifts, and thrombolysis in cases where it is appropriate. The National Health Service pays 130,000 hryvnias for such a patient, depending on the complexity of the strokes. However, a large-scale inspection in 18 regions of Ukraine revealed that some medical institutions do not follow this medical protocol and even require patients to buy medicines that have already been paid for by the state. Because of this, 17 hospitals have been stripped of their contracts.
Alexander Komarov. When we say that we are paying for the service, quality control follows afterwards. During Inspections, we saw that in some hospitals, particularly those that lost their contracts, patients were given certain notes, so to speak, so that they would buy medications themselves and unfortunately even ineffective drugs for this specific illness. For us, this is a critical violation.
Irina Markovich, every 10th Ukrainian who was diagnosed with a stroke had not previously consulted their family doctor. This means they did not measure their blood pressure, did not monitor their weight, and did not receive corrective medications. This indicates that stroke prevention in Ukraine is extremely low. This is exactly what the Minister of Health explains with the national screening. Starting from 2026, Ukrainians aged 40 and over will receive funds on their cards that can be used for a checkup, either at a private or a public hospital.
Alexander Komarov, we are counting on an initial amount of 2,000 hryvnias for research into cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and mental health. When a person feels healthy, they don't want to go to the doctor or wait in line. That's why service will play a key role.
Irina Markovich. So the main task for each of us is to take care of our own health, because no one has invented a magic pill yet. This means you need to get off the couch, put down your gadget, and find the kind of physical activity that suits you best. It could be running, it could be walking, it could be moderate aerobic or strength training, because evidence-based medicine shows that 90% of strokes can be prevented by your lifestyle. Irina Markovich, Andriy Romanyuk, TSN 1+1.
Elza Zhurakovska, where are the commas, the quotation marks, the dashes, and where are the ellipses? You can already check your possible mistakes from the Unity dictation. Suspilne Kultura, in partnership with Ukrainian Radio, has published the text of the 2025 radio dictation. This year, its author was the writer Yevgenia Kuznetsova, known for her novels Ask Michka and The Ladder, as well as the non-fiction book Cooking in Sorrow. For the Unity dictation, Yevgenia wrote an ironic text called One Must Live and impressed participants with a reference to Les Poderviansky, while also puzzling them with words like Petyatki and Mizharia. But after the dictation, most of the attention was drawn to the actress Natalia Sumska. The pace of her reading has already become a national meme. For 2 days, Ukrainians joked about not being able to keep up with the reader, even comparing her to the rapper Alyona. Today, things have quieted down on social media, but we're already waiting for the reaction to the original text. The results of the radio dictation will be announced once the Commission has processed all the letters. Elza Zhurakovska. With that, I'm wrapping up my day with TSN, and my colleague Irina Prokofieva is already preparing for the evening roundup. The main news for Wednesday, October 29th, will be on at 7:30 p.m., so stay tuned to TSN.